I think this is a signal that the work that we've done over the last 5 years has now paid off. I mean, we have fundamentally repositioned the company, and we are generating substantial returns. We have deleveraged the balance sheet. We're now in a position that we can pay a dividend, and I think it's really a culmination of the last 5 years worth of work.
So you're generally in a much better position, and many say that the industry is poised to be in a much better position going forward as a result of the mining charter. Now it looks like talks are going back behind the doors and are going to be sorted out in a more amicable way. Perhaps a comment on that.
So I think firstly, just on the market, I think the PGM market we shouldn't underestimate. It's still a fairly tricky place, and I think prices are still fairly low. And of course, with the strengthening of the rand, that the rand basket price for PGMs means that there's still 40 or 50% of the industry is still loss-making or break-even. So I don't think we should lose sight of that, and I don't think one should, with Anglo Platinum's results today, sort of extrapolate that out over the whole industry. The whole industry is still, there's a lot of production that is still cost negative. But having said that, I mean, it is extremely important, and we think a really welcome move from the President. So you would have seen his comments in the State of the Nation address, work over the weekend with the Chamber engaging with the President to try and see if we could set aside or postpone the review of the mining charter, which was due to start in court today, to give all the parties space to be able to come to actually develop a new mining charter. So we're very pleased with that. I think that's exactly what we've been looking for over many months now. And so being in a position that we can find space to be able to engage and co-create a new mining charter is exactly what the industry needs.
Just to stay on the charter briefly, and then go back to your operations. I mean, how long is the new talks going to take?
So, I mean, we've only agreed this last night, and it was very important because the court case, as I said, was about to start today. So I think now it's going to be, it'll really depend. So the answer is I don't know, but it's going to take some months for all the parties, because we're also extending this, I guess, is that the unions will want to be involved, communities will want to be involved. So I don't think we should expect something in the next few months. I think this is still going to take some time to co-create a new mining charter.
And last question on the charter. So what does that mean for deals now that are currently in the pipeline or investments while these talks are still taking place?
So I think it shouldn't affect that at all. Remember last year we got 3 Section 11s even under this environment. We worked very closely with the DMR and were able to get the Union transaction, the Mundelbort transaction, as well as the Pandora joint venture with Lonmin. All those deals were done in this current environment. So our expectations is that work will continue as normal, and it shouldn't have an impact on current deals that are in play.
Chris, I mean, the President did say that we are going to try and find a plan that accelerates transformation but also accelerates investments. But he also said that the fatalities and accidents at mining companies needs to come down. 6 in the current period under review at Anglo. How are you going to fix this?
So I don't think we're at odds with the President's message. We have been focused on reducing fatalities at the mines operations for many, many years now, and actually have seen very substantial reductions in mine fatalities. We've seen very substantial reductions in injury frequency rates, so less people are getting hurt in their day-to-day operations. But we do acknowledge that we had a poor fatality performance last year. And what's really disappointing is actually if you look at the underlying injury rates, we had a much better year again. So our fatalities were unacceptable. We acknowledge that. We agree with the President that nobody wants to come to work not to go home to their families in the evening. So we have co-created a new and revised safety, health and environmental strategy with the company, working closely together with our unions and our employees to co-create this new strategy. There's a wide variety of things that we're going to be focusing on to take those next steps forward. And that includes, for example, engineered solutions to make the mining areas safer. As we've done over many years now, we will seek to continue doing that work.
And talking about the operating environment once again that you did describe as being very difficult and now added pressure with the strengthening rand, how do you intend to continue growing at a way whereby you're able to continue sustainably paying dividends to your shareholders?
Yes, I think you correctly point out and have picked up on the point that the mining industry is still in a tough place. I mean, last year we had to put one of our mines on care and maintenance. Over the last 5 years, we've cut over 470,000 ounces of loss-making production. I think the point is that we have to find ways in whatever environment is around to be profitable. And if the rand strengthens and the dollar basket prices stay where they are, then we're going to have to be looking for more. And we'll continue doing that. We've been doing that over the last 5 years, every year looking for more and newer and better ways to be productive, to keep our costs under control. Anglo Plats has got the leading cost control in the group, in the PGM business. And this year we announced that our costs, as opposed to everyone else's costs that are increasing, our unit costs actually went down year on year. So I think we're continually finding ways to be more productive, to make sure we take out unnecessary costs, shut loss-making production if need be, but making sure whatever the environment is, that we can manage the business profitably for that environment. Our strategy is not hope and prayer to hope that the rand will weaken. Whatever the rand is, we will have to deal with that in our environment.
Chris, quite a number of disposals during the period that just was. Are you planning to continue, shedding some assets that you deem no longer core to your operations?
So I think we've done pretty much what we said we're going to do. So when we started this journey in early 2013, we said that first of all we'd restructure the business, and we did that in the course of 2013 and 14. And then in 2014 we said, look, we've got the leading PGM assets in the world, and for us to focus on assets at the top end of the cost curve, even though we thought that after all the work that we've done, those assets can be profitable, but we didn't want to own and operate those assets, and we said that we would exit from Rustenburg, Union, a number of our joint ventures, and pretty much that journey is now done. So we've done that. Doesn't mean that we won't look for some things around the edges, but I think the majority of the repositioning of the portfolio is now done.
What about any acquisitions or any investments in this period ahead? Should we be expecting any?
So it's a little early for me to say, and hopefully the next time we speak we can talk about that. But the fact is that we own the majority of the best PGM assets in the world. And so it doesn't really help us to go out and to want to buy other companies who have got lesser quality assets that we do. So generally speaking, that we would not be an acquisition company given the assets that we do have, but that shouldn't rule out, again, some small things on the edges for us.
Mm-hmm. And that's both locally and offshore?
Yeah, we have explored over time in Russia, China, Brazil, Finland, but generally the best PGM assets are in South Africa and Zimbabwe. So that's why we've ended up with the majority of our assets. That doesn't mean we don't look for opportunities, but the assets at the moment our focus is on, and we've stopped the exploration in those countries because they don't really have the quality assets that we do. And so our focus is on South Africa and Zimbabwe.
And talking about Zimbabwe, also a major leadership changes there that many describe as being positive. What's your view on that country and your plans for Zimbabwe now?
So I've recently met with the new mines minister in Zimbabwe. I think they're sending very positive messages. Certainly both the president and many senior leaders in the Zimbabwe government are sending very positive messages around investment. I think it's I think we should be acknowledged that and give them some credit that it's only been a couple of months. So we've got to give them some time. The minister, the president in Zimbabwe, for example, said, look, they first need to work out what their plans are for platinum and diamonds. And so for now, they haven't changed any of the regulatory regimes around, for example, beneficiation, BE, their version of BE, the indigenization. So they need to finalize those. There's still very, very difficult regulatory environments that make it difficult to invest in any meaningful way in Zimbabwe. So they need to finish that work, and we think that we'll see that happen over the next, let's say, the first half of this year.